Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. It has been a very long time that we have been asking for this track to come to Gran Turismo Sport, and finally, on the October 2019 update, we finally got it. We finally got Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and it is an awesome track to race around in. Now, before I start the preview lap guide, I asked a while back which Group 3 car would be the most fun to race around in for this track, and the majority of you ended up saying the Mercedes-AMG GT3, so I took this car around and it was a ton of fun. You guys are definitely right. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the preview lap guide. For this first turn, start to brake at the 100 meter mark. Brake hard in a straight line, and the moment you start to turn, that is when you start to ease off of the braking. You can get the car to rotate a little more by shifting into first gear, but get ready to do a bit of counter steering. Quickly rotate the car so you can start to fully accelerate a little sooner. This left-hander can be taken at full throttle, but the moment you start to turn right, that is when you start to ease off of the throttle. Go at about half throttle and try to get the car pointing towards the apex, which is really hard to see because it's just over the top of this hill right here. And once your car is pointing towards the apex, that's when you can start to fully accelerate. Look for the start of the curb on the left, as that will be your braking point. Brake as much as you can in a straight line, as you'll be doing quite a bit of trail braking until you hit the apex. You can briefly go at full throttle right here, but then you'll need to ease off the throttle almost all the way. Then you'll be trail braking just a little bit more through this turn right here, and you can stay on third gear. If you really need the car to rotate, you can briefly go to second gear. Then before the curb on the left starts, that's where you'll start to brake. Brake hard for just a moment, and then you'll be trail braking quite a bit through this turn. Try to stay as inside of the turn as you can, and once your car is starting to point towards the start of the curbs on the other side of the track, that is when you can start to slowly accelerate. Then you'll need to slow down pretty early over here, so brake around here, and you'll be trail braking your way through this turn. Once you hit the apex, you can slowly start to accelerate. Try not to hit the AstroTurf, as you'll end up having a bad day if you do hit it. Look for the 50 meter mark, as you'll start to brake just after you pass it. For a very brief moment, you can brake at full power, but then you need to very quickly start to trail brake. If you do this right, you can start to fully accelerate when you hit the first apex and take that next turn at full throttle. Look for the overarching sign just up ahead right here, as you will start to brake right before you pass it. Brake at full power before you start to turn, as then you'll need to start to trail brake. Be very patient with the throttle over here, as it's really easy to overshoot this turn. Then start to brake before the curb on the left starts, and you'll be doing quite a bit of trail braking as well. Once again, just be nice and careful with the throttle, as you don't want to overshoot this turn. Start to turn in before the curb on the left ends, and as you're turning in, you'll ease off of the throttle. For this specific car, you can shift into fourth gear, and once your car is pointing away from this building on the left over here, that is when you can start to fully accelerate. Take this left-hander at full throttle, but then for this turn, you want to ease off on the throttle, as it's a little bit sharp, so you need to slow down just a tiny bit without using the brakes. Then shortly after you pass the 150 meter mark, you'll need to brake at full power in a straight line as much as you can. Then, once you're ready to turn, ease off of the braking to get the car to rotate. Briefly go at full throttle, then apply the brakes again to get the car to rotate again, and try to get the car straightened up so you can start to fully accelerate without having the car cause any drama for you. And that is it. That is a preview lap guide of Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. But before I go, I just want to give a huge thank you to every single one of you for the awesome support ever since I started making the Gran Turismo Sport videos. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.